The Federal Court of Australia has a hard-earned reputation for actively managing cases so they are resolved quickly and efficiently. Sometimes a judge will refer a matter to mediation even if the parties do not agree. A mediation is a structured process in which an independent person, the mediator, helps the parties to identify and assess options so they can negotiate an end to their dispute. Mediations are conducted in the Federal Court by registrars who are judicial officers. However, the mediation happens around a table and not in a courtroom. This is called a court-annexed mediation. Most mediations are resolved successfully. Here we will demonstrate how the process works and highlight the central role played by the mediator. In this example, an environmental group, Sunset Conservation Foundation, or SCF, is trying to stop the building of a coastal tourism resort at Sunset Bay in Northern Australia. The area is surrounded by pristine waters, mountains and rainforest and is home to the threatened green turtle and jade turtle. The consortium that wants to build the resort has the agreement of the national government for it to pay a third of the costs on the condition that a certain number of jobs will be generated and the work commences by a particular date. However, the SCF has staged sit-in demonstrations at the site and 2 days before work is due to begin, has filed an application asking the court to review the government minister's decision to approve the project. It has also asked for an urgent injunction stopping the work until the review has been determined. The court has referred the case for an urgent mediation. Representatives for all three parties, the SCF, the government and the consortium, have been required by the court to attend the mediation. Before all three parties meet as one, the mediator sees them separately to explain the process. The message is the same for everyone.
Hello. Hi.
Oh, hi.
I'm Rupert Burns. I'm the mediator.
Oh, nice to meet you, Rupert. I'm Vicky.
Vicky, hi. And
My registrar, Sophie Burns.
Sophie, hi. Welcome. Please sit down.
Thank you.
Let's have a chat, and I'll explain the process to you. Now, just so you know about me, I'm a registrar of the court. I'm a mediator in the court. That's a big part of what I do. I've read the file. I think I pretty well understand the issues that are involved. However, it's very important to remember I'm not the judge. I'm not here to decide the case. I'm not here to say you've got a good case or a bad case. I'm really an independent third party with experience at helping people resolve cases, and my focus is not going to be on the law or on the argument, but rather what are the options for a resolution.
Sure.
So if I jump in over the top of you or interrupt and say, look, I think we're getting stuck in things that we can't decide today, that we're not here to decide, let's look at options. Please don't take it personally.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
The way the process tends to work is that I will have a meeting with each party in private like this and discuss what they've come for, what they're hoping for out of the day. Then we'll usually go into a joint session where each party puts their position.
Okay.
It's very important to remember that the process is confidential.
Okay.
All right? Nothing that happens in the mediation can be repeated outside the
Okay.
mediation. It also can't be used in court in front of the judge if the matter has to go to court in the end.
Okay.
And very importantly, it's confidential when I'm meeting with you in private like this.
Right.
So I cannot repeat anything said to me in this room to any other party without your authority and agreement.
Okay.
So you can be absolutely comfortable that when you're with me, you don't have to be guarded
Yes.
or careful about what you say.
Okay. This is the first time I've been to the federal court, and it's the first time Vicky's actually been to court, so we're a little bit nervy. Yeah.
What I say is that that's absolutely normal.
Sure.
Everybody feels the same.
Okay.
Don't worry, once we get into the discussions, you'll find that they take on their own rhythm and momentum, and you'll soon forget all of that.
Okay. The development being so imminent, the community is really concerned about the preservation of the green turtle and the jade turtle in the area, and the fact that the the Minister hasn't consulted anyone's really just icing on the cake, really. It's really just moved that extra step where we haven't even been consulted.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the turtles are really our priority, and I don't think we'll be leaving here until we know that the turtles are going to be protected.
We're willing to fight. Our members are willing to fight.
All right, I understand. Can I just say, mediation is not a battle. In many ways, it's a peacemaking process. If we can't make peace, if we can't find a resolution, fine. Everybody goes off to court. But you're wasting time and money today if you think you're coming in for a big fight and an argument. Nobody wins the argument at mediation. All right, so it's a matter of listening, negotiating in good faith, and trying to understand where the other parties are coming from.
The mediator then explains the process to the Minister's representatives in a nearby room. He then asks what they hope to achieve from the mediation.
Well, the Minister's very concerned about this proceeding, and he wishes that the project continue not hampered by the conservationists. That's his main aim. It's a very important project for him personally and for the government.
All right. I'm going to go and talk to Julian Hattier for the consortium and take him through the same introductory process, find out what they're seeking for the day, and I'll be back to come and get you for the joint session shortly.
All right. Thanks very much, Rupert. Thank you. Thank you.
Obviously, your client's main interests are commercial.
Yes.
If they can, I presume that if your client finds a resolution that is commercially beneficial, then they'll be interested.
That's right. And Rupert, you probably do know I've got a number of clients. It's a consortium made up of different clients around the world. They've worked very hard to get this project to where it's currently at. We've spent a lot of money on engineers, architects, etc. We've got some really first-rate plans that are already put together.
I've seen
You've seen them already?
Yes, I have.
And we're now facing a very desperate last-minute action by the Sunset Conservation Foundation, which is wholly without any merit at all, just designed to frustrate what is a fantastic project and will deliver, amazing opportunities for all the locals in Sunset Bay.
Julian, you'll be able to put all of that in the joint session.
Okay.
I'm comfortable with that. What I would ask, though, is, and you'll understand this being experienced in mediation, I will be looking for the consortium to try and find a conciliatory position, to be prepared to compromise.
Yes.
Obviously, hardline positions don't work.
In these opening private sessions, the mediator has provided a clear understanding to the parties of what to expect, gained their confidence and built a rapport while guiding them away from conflict toward compromise and resolution.
All right, everyone, this is the joint session. I discussed it with you beforehand. Each party will get to make a statement of their position. So what I propose to do is hand over to Sophie to make a statement on behalf of the Applicant Conservation Foundation.
We're a concerned group of local residents committed to the plight of the national heritage and biodiversity. The cornerstone of our movement is the plight of the green turtle and the jade turtle. Both of these turtles are in a critical state, with only 100 of the green turtles being left in the wild. The proposed Sunset Bay Hotel will bring an end to the green turtle. Concerned and frustrated members of our organisation are fed up with the short-term focus of the government and investors. Our members have been active in the media and have gained international support. Our members are committed to this application and will continue to fight for the green and jade turtle. Thank you, Rupert.
All right. Thank you, Sophie. Lauren, would you like to make a statement on behalf of the Minister?
Absolutely. Look, from a legal perspective, this case is straightforward. The Minister is required to consider the environmental impact in any development decision making, and he's done so in this process.
How can you even say that? I'm an environmental expert in this area.
Rupert,
We have
walk out.
10,000
Rupert, if this
signatures
continues, we
of
will be
people
walking
who
out today. We will be.
oppose
We will be
this
walking
out.
development.
Okay, we'll just stop there.
It's environmental vandalism. That's
will
what it
walk out.
is.
Say that.
This
And
is
you know
environmental
better.
organism.
All right.
You know better.
It's environmental extremism or like
yeah.
All
that.
right,
will
thank
walk
you,
out. We will
everybody.
walk out.
I think
Stop.
this is...
All right, just stop. Now, every one of you is going to have to understand that each person has a strong interest in this matter and that their interests may be very different from yours. I understand that these matters can be very emotional and that's perfectly acceptable. Yes, people feel strongly and they are entitled to feel strongly. But this mediation is not going to function unless there is mutual respect and people are prepared to listen one to another and let the other side express what their interests are. Now, I know you feel strongly, Vicky,
I feel
but
very strongly.
at this stage, it is our turn to listen to the Minister, for the Minister to express their interests. All right? So can we please proceed on the basis of a rational discussion? As soon as we have insults, as soon as we have open confrontation, all we're going to get is people attacking back and back again, and then we'll just descend into a shouting match. It's not going to move this matter forward. We're trying to find options for a resolution. All right?
Let's keep going. Come on.
Can we proceed on that basis?
Yes, certainly.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Lauren.
Rupert, in the interests of settling this matter today and resolving the matter as cleanly and quickly as possible, the Minister has graciously offered to bear his own legal costs if the PCF or ECF, whoever you are,
SCF.
discontinue the matter today. So that's the offer that we've got on the table here today.
Thank you. All right. Julian.
Yeah, thanks, Rupert. As you know, we represent a consortium of investors. My clients are very important business people from all over the world. They're very angry at being involved in this proceeding and they believe that the litigation has got no merit. We are very inconvenienced by the actions of the Conservation Foundation and we have spent a lot of money on this project so far. Architects, engineers, planners, a lot of money has been spent to bring it to this point. We believe that the Conservation Foundation is anti-development, anti-jobs and anti-economy. And we'll be opposing this injunction in court. However, I've just received an email from my clients and they've instructed me to put an offer today with a view to resolving the dispute. It's on the basis that the Sunset Conservation Foundation abandon their unmeritorious litigation, and in return for that, the consortium will amend the plans for the resort by including a very large aquarium in the resort in which we will house 2 jade turtles for the guests to be able to interact with.
Excuse me. This is insulting.
This is ridiculous.
Wait a moment. Let him finish.
And they can feed the turtles, pat the turtles, possibly even swim with the turtles and raise awareness for the cause of the turtles. So we think that's a really sound proposal. We think it's a really good proposal.
All right. If I can just summarise, the Minister's put forward a proposal that the parties just simply abandon the litigation, walk away and bear their own legal costs. And the consortium's proposed an aquarium with 2 jade turtles in it.
And I should add, Rupert, that's quite an expensive alteration to the plans for the resort. Aquariums are not cheap.
All right, thank
It's
you.
not saving the turtle.
Yeah. Would you like an opportunity to discuss this, or are you in a position to respond to it in the joint session?
Both of those offers are flatly rejected, Rupert. This is an absolute joke. The purpose of our application
Proceeding's a joke.
is
Absolutely.
to save the green
would
and the
say
jade turtle. The proposal that an aquarium is going to replace the habitat, the nesting ground of the green and jade turtle is an absolute joke.
So that would be no.
In this joint session, the mediator has allowed the parties to express their predominant interest while maintaining control. He has managed bad behaviour and generated proposals.
That was an absolute joke, Rupert. That was ridiculous.
I've never been so insulted before.
An
in my life.
aquarium. An
It's
aquarium.
ridiculous.
Don't worry.
This is...
All right.
How can
This
you
is-
say
we
don't
leave?
worry? This is ridiculous.
They always start like this, with people taking absolute positions. Don't worry. There's a long way to go in the mediation yet. Come on, sit down, let's have a talk.
Having calmed the situation, the mediator now provides some reality testing.
Do you think that they're prepared to abandon the development? Do you think they will?
I don't
Well,
think
we're
they're
gonna
prepared
stop
to do
it.
anything.
They're not, are they?
No, that's why we've got to take the action.
Yeah, I understand.
That's why we're here.
I understand that's why you're here. But realistically, thinking about it, so what's the alternative?
We have no alternative. This project has to end.
Presumably, if you lose the case, they'll be able to bring the police in, make arrests, drag people away. At the end of the day, the development's going to go up if you lose the case. The turtle's habitat will be destroyed, and each and every member of the Sunset Conservation Foundation may be liable to pay the costs of the government and the costs of the development consortium. Well, my job here is to try and help everyone find a way through this. If you're not able to put forward any alternative proposal, I'm going to need to go and talk to the other parties and see if they've got some kind of possible alternative. All right? In the meantime, you really need to think carefully about all the possible outcomes, good and bad.
The mediator has checked the hopes and expectations of the SCF against the ramifications if they lose the case. He has helped focus their minds on what is really at stake. In their private meeting, the minister's representatives also expressed disappointment, but the mediator urges them to look at practical solutions. They disclose they are worried about paying compensation to the consortium if the development is stopped by the court. They also admit the minister is worried about the humiliation a loss would mean in an election year.
All right, so let's just summarise what we've worked out together in relation to the possible outcomes and the issues and consequences for the minister. If the minister just gives up and gives in to the SCF and withdraws the permit, he's going to look weak, and there will be lost jobs, lost tourism opportunities with that in an election year. There's also the possibility of significant financial compensation to the consortium. If the minister loses the case, then there's of course the question of legal costs again. No jobs, again possible financial compensation to the consortium, and a general public sense of the minister having failed. Not a very good outcome for the minister. Finally, if the minister wins, there is of course the benefits of the jobs and the tourism that will flow, but a real risk if police action, violent possibly police action, is necessary to remove the demonstrators, the look that that will bring about, possible negative environmental reaction, and of course again just the costs of running the case and taking all that action and trying to get it to happen. So we can see that none of these are perfect outcomes. They're all in their own way undesirable.
Yes.
We have to try and find some kind of an alternative proposal that will work in order to meet the minister's interests.
The mediator's reality testing, together with the disclosure of confidential information, helps to make the minister's situation clearer. The mediator is also able to emphasise the benefits of a mediated resolution. In their session, the mediator tells the consortium representative the SCF seems unmoved, that they will proceed with the case and, if unsuccessful, chain themselves to machinery in protest. He suggests this would be both expensive and unattractive for the consortium. The mediator says the minister is in a potentially difficult political situation, but the consortium thinks this is not so much its concern as is the money it will lose if the development doesn't proceed.
But in order to try and find an alternative resolution, you will need to speak to the minister and get the minister's cooperation, I suspect. So the real question that I've got for you is there a realistic alternative that you can imagine in terms of the proposal that you would be in a position to put to the Minister and then that could be put to the Conservation Foundation?
Rupert, this is highly confidential, okay?
Yes.
Can't go beyond this room at this stage, all right? We're absolutely clear about that.
Absolutely.
There was an alternative site, okay? Down the coast at Barramundi Bay, we looked at that site. It wasn't our preferred site, so we focused on Sunset Bay, but it wasn't a bad site. Now, I don't have any instructions, but I can make some phone calls and see whether, for the sake of having a project moving, we look at moving to the alternative site to keep the project alive. I'll need to speak to a number of people. It could take a little bit of time. I can't make you any guarantees, but
that's accepted.
I do know that there was an alternative site, so it's probably worth exploring that possibility.
In a mediation, it's always worth exploring all the options. Make the calls, I'll come back. How long do you need?
Can you give me 15 minutes?
Absolutely.
Okay. Steve, yeah, I'm here in this mediation. The mediator's just left and he wants me to look at an alternative proposal.
Once the option of a mediated outcome is pushed, the mediator works hard helping to formulate a practical solution and arranges for a meeting between the Minister and consortium representatives.
Daniel, Lauren.
Yes, thank you.
Julian.
Hi, Julian.
Julian,
Thank
perhaps
you.
if
Nice
you
to
take
see
your
you again.
seat.
Lauren.
Thanks very much.
Daniel, although the Minister's actually requested this meeting with Julian on behalf of the consortium, after some discussions that I've had with Julian, they too have a proposal to put to the government. My recommendation is that you listen to Julian's proposal first and see what your response is. You happy to proceed on that basis?
Certainly, thanks
Sounds
very
good.
much.
Julian.
Thanks, Rupert. Look, the consortium really wants to get this situation fixed.
The consortium tells the Minister's representative of the possibility of moving the development, but because of money already spent, it is looking for compensation from the government. They also want compensation for labour costs because of the delay in starting the project and for the government to increase its contribution to the project from a third to a half.
But in relation to compensation, the Minister's position is this. Firstly, and this, I've just had a quick look at this document,
Sure.
some of the expenses you've incurred in relation to this project can be transferred to the new one. For example, design, permits and consultants. There's no doubt that it's transferable. So we would be generally acceptable to compensation, but it wouldn't be for the amount that you've just mentioned. In relation to the reimbursement of the construction cost, Julian, as you know, 1/3 was very favourable. The consortium will make a lot of money from this project, and so I can tell you very adamantly from the outset that the Minister, if this proposal gets off the ground, will maintain his position in relation to a 1/3 reimbursement, but will not move to a half.
My thinking, Daniel, if I can be very frank
Certainly.
with you, if we can get the compensation amount covered, everything else can fall into place.
Yes.
But I've got a number of clients I need to keep
Understand
happy.
that, understand
We have
that.
spent a lot of money. I'm not sure whether the planning work, for example, can be transferred.
Well, that's something
to
I
a new
think we
site.
can work on.
We can
All right,
negotiate
so-
on those.
The mediator's reality testing, together with the disclosure of confidential information, helps make the situation of the Minister and the consortium clearer. He has stressed the benefits of a mediated resolution and worked towards a practical outcome.
That's great. I think it's very well done. Are we in actually a position to now say to the Conservation Foundation, what do you think of the proposal to go to Barramundi Bay?
Absolutely. I think you should put it to them, take it or leave it.
Can I just make a recommendation to you in relation to that? That's virtually a threat to walk out if they don't accept the proposal. What I would say is there's very little benefit in mediation in making threats. Put your proposal. If they accept it, they accept it. If they don't, then
All
you
right.
can say, well,
All
I
right.
don't know where we can
All
go
right.
from here.
All right.
Threats don't help.
All right, well,
Is
happy
there,
for you
but
to
can I just
present
say,
it.
is there anything else that you need from them?
No, we'd like to get
No.
an indication fairly quickly though, Rupert, if they're at least agreeable to the movement, to the moving of the project.
Let me put it like that. Would you want them to agree not to oppose, and that no members of their foundation would oppose
Certainly.
the movement?
Certainly.
I think we need to have all the members of the foundation commit.
I'll put it to them straight away.
Thanks very much,
Thank you.
Rupert.
Thank you very
I won't
much.
be long. Hi.
Hi, Rupert.
All right. There is a proposal that's been put forward by the consortium and the minister in conjunction. You might need to write this down. Take careful notes because you're going to need to have to think about it.
Okay.
They are prepared to move the development away from Sunset Bay. Okay? That's a win for you. They can move it, not anywhere, but they can move it down the coast to Barramundi Bay. Now, Vicky, you're an expert in the environmental
Yeah.
issues in the
Yeah,
area.
yeah, I know.
Do you know Barramundi Bay?
I do know Barramundi Bay, yeah.
Is there some species, the turtles there, is there some colony of some particular protected species that needs to be protected at Barramundi Bay?
I think it's a little bit, the position's a lot better than what it is at Sunset Bay, Rupert.
All right, so are you able to tell me that you'll accept that?
Can we maybe have a 5 minutes just to think that through?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll be
Yep.
back in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Okay.
great.
All right,
Thanks,
thanks.
Rupert.
Thanks, Rupert.
After deliberating, they agree on the condition that the government commits to the protection of the turtles, an environmental consultant is appointed to oversee the new site, and an undertaking the SCF will not be pursued for costs.
Part of what they're asking, of course, is that you will agree and the foundation will agree not to oppose the Barramundi Bay development. Are you able to get all your people together and get them to, is that going to be workable? They're going to agree to that?
I think Vicky can.
With those conditions, I think that we can make sure that they don't cause any difficulty for the project at Barramundi Bay.
Yeah.
But
All right.
with those conditions, those are important conditions. But I'm happy to speak to our members and reassure them that.
Fantastic. All right, I'm going to take these conditions back. I don't know that whether they're going to be accepted or not. I can't make any promises, but it's really good work. This mediation is heading in the right direction.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, Rupert.
Thanks,
we'll keep
Rupert.
our fingers crossed.
The mediator has got to a point where he is now helping the parties to finalise the deal, while paying attention to the details and ensuring a spirit of give and take. The mediator puts the SCF's conditions of acceptance to the minister and the consortium. While they readily agree on the costs issue, they resist on the other two.
The
Three
conditions
is
not a
agreed.
problem.
The protection of the turtles, what's your view in relation to that?
I just have a concern that we've got the foundation dictating the minister's agenda and telling the minister what to do. Is that?
Well, I agree with that, but the turtles are a protected species, so in the end the government will be supporting its ongoing protection, so I don't think we would have any problem with that condition, Rupert.
All right, great. Julian, in relation to this environmental consultant, I can say that I'm confident the intention is not that they're going to have some kind of right of veto,
Well, that's a relief.
but simply that they want to be able to be heard and to put forward any suggestions that they have and know the consortium will listen.
Well, I think, Rupert, my clients can live with that, so long as the Conservation Foundation agrees that they will describe publicly the new development as an eco-friendly project. If they can do
They
that.
will, and you'll describe it in the same way.
In the same way, but they need
All
to
right.
give their endorsement to it, if that makes sense.
Yes, I understand.
Okay.
The mediator then asks if there is anything else that needs to be considered, and the minister's representatives ask for a joint media statement involving all three parties. This will say the dispute is over and provide details of the new project. The SCF agrees. The mediator has helped the parties to accept the final resolution and determine the key principles of the settlement. After a tense and gruelling day, the mediation has now reached the final stage. It is important that all details of the settlement are written down so there is no confusion. During this process, the mediator steps back, helping to clarify issues as they arise and keeping the parties focused on a resolution. The final formal part of the process is for all parties to sign the terms of the settlement. With the mediator's skills and expertise, the parties have resolved their differences and avoided a court hearing and the consequences of losing the case. Each has gained a significant part of what they wanted, a solution that has delivered a result that works for everyone in a way that a judgment of the court could not have. Through the mediation process, what started as an apparently unresolvable dispute has resulted in a workable and successful settlement.